Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our World Day of Remembrance commemoration. My name is Elizabeth Adams. I'm the Interim Co-Executive Director of Transportation Alternatives. Today is a day where we remember those who have lost or have been seriously injured by traffic violence in our city and across the globe. It is a day to support one another, to support each other who've been hurt, who are dealing with the preventable loss from these tragedies. And lastly, it is a day to demand change, to prevent future crashes. These are entirely preventable, and Families for Safe Streets fights every day to ensure that no one else goes through the pain and loss that families here today are grieving with. We are standing at the intersection where 3-year-old Allison Liao was killed on October 6, 2013. I want to express my condolences to Amy and to HP, my gratitude for allowing us to hold this event here today at this tragic site as we call for change for everyone. We do this work because while we have made progress, we are still failing far too many of our neighbors and our loved ones. Every lost life is a tragedy. And when we committed to Vision Zero back in 2014, where zero traffic deaths was what we said, we meant it. It is unacceptable that year after year after year, we continue to see people killed and seriously injured on our streets, right here in our own neighborhoods, in our own communities. We know that a world without traffic deaths is possible. We have seen it, and we refuse to accept the status quo is good enough. It is not. This is unconscionable that every month, sometimes every week, we gather together to mourn our loved ones, to mourn our neighbors and our family members. And today we're here in Eastern Queens because the crisis is urgent. This community district has had more pedestrian deaths of any community district in New York City during the Vision Zero era. This is not an accident. This is a result of failed investment in communities, a result of policies that have not been enacted equitably across our city. It is entirely changeable and it is preventable, and that is the work of Families for Safe Streets and the work of everyone here today. This year we have also lost 15 children in New York City so far. My heart goes out to every single parent and family member who has lost their child. I can't begin to imagine that hurt and that pain, but it has got to end. So we won't stop until change is here, until no one else has to go through what every single person has gone through here today. Today we are demanding our elected officials to do more, to lead with us, to stand side by side with us in this fight, and to commit to ending traffic violence once and for all in New York. First, we need to pass ISA for repeat offenders, which will hold the worst speeding offenders accountable in our city by requiring intelligent speed assistance technology be put into vehicles. The studies show that almost 40% of deadly crashes are caused by just a very small portion of reckless drivers. We have the tools to address this, to hold them accountable, to keep people safer on our streets, and we need to roll them out now. We also need to pass the Grieving Families Act, and get it signed by the governor today. Victims have been long overdue owed justice for far too long, and that includes financial justice that families are going through. We know when we enact policies that support families, that address traffic violence, that keep each other safe, they work, that we can achieve zero traffic deaths, that we can keep one another cared for and comforted. With that, I want to turn it over to the people that we're here to hear from today, who inspire us all to keep fighting, to keep doing this work day after day, even when it is incredibly hard. I want to call up Amy Tam and HP Liao.
Hello everyone, we're the Liao family. I'm Shipei. This is my wife, Amy, and our sons, Preston and Aiden. We're here today because our daughter isn't, Allison. Allison isn't. It's been 11 long years since she's been taken away from us. She's killed by a driver at this intersection. She was only 3. It still hurts like it was yesterday.
We miss Allie every single day, but we're here today to fight for something good to come from this tragedy. We need safer streets. We need laws that protect people. We need the Grieving Families Act to help families like ours who have lost someone they love. Right now, the law only cares about things like lost wages and how much money someone would make if they hadn't been killed. But what about everything else? What about the pain, the emptiness, the memories we'll never get to share with Allie? The Grieving Families Act would finally recognize that those things matter too. It would help families get the support they need to heal their broken hearts and rebuild their broken lives.
Hi, my name is Preston. When I was 5 and I lost my sister Allie in a car crash right here at Cherry Avenue and Main Street, it left me confused and feeling helpless. Even now, at 16, I often sometimes wonder why this happened to her and to my family. I think, why us? Why did Allie have to suffer when this could have been prevented? The truth is, it didn't have to happen if we had safer streets and better traffic safety. One way to prevent tragedies like this is with intelligent speed assistance technology. ISA can limit a vehicle's speed to match the speed limit of the area. This technology can save lives and reduce the number of people hurt or killed by speeding drivers every day. It is important to know that ISA technology is used for drivers with recurring speeding fines, helping prevent repeat offenders. They should have peace of mind that New York is taking steps to become a safer place for all.
This is before I was born. And my mom and dad would say she liked washing doors and would like to play with me. I wish I could have met her. At school, we can't run in the hallway because it's not safe, but outside, cars can go super fast, even on streets where kids can live and play. It's not fair. Grown-ups need to make our streets safer.
We need to do better. We need to make our streets safer for everyone, especially for kids like Allison, Aiden, and Preston. Today, on World Remembrance Day, we ask you to join our fight. Support the Grieving Families Act and ISA. Let's make sure no other families have to go through this. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call up our New York City Comptroller, Brad Lander, to say a few words.
HP and Amy and Preston and Aiden, thank you guys for turning Allie's memory into a blessing that is saving other people's lives. We know you miss her every single day. And I'll just say to all the families here, you know, I come to the World Day of Remembrance for traffic crash victims every year because I'm in awe of your guys' courage, you know, what you do to take the loss of Ali and Asif and Donkessa and Philippe and Sammy and everyone else, which could just be devastating. I mean, you would be forgiven for like never being able to get out of bed again. And instead saying, we're not just going to demand that they be remembered, we're going to organize to make sure that other people's children and parents and grandparents' lives are saved. You are a courageous treasure of New York City. There was, though, yeah, let's hear it for all these families. Like, you guys are why we are out here. And there was a World Day of Remembrance for traffic crash victims before there was Families for Safe Streets. And it was a day of memory, but you guys have turned it into a day of some of the most powerful organizing to save people's lives that I have ever seen. And because you've done it, countless lives of other Allies and other Sammys and other Donkestas and other Avas have been saved. So one thing I want to do is say thank you for the lives that you guys have saved. Some incredible progress has been made because of these folks organizing. So, because after Asif's death, an enormous effort took place to make Queens Boulevard safer. Queens Boulevard is safer now, Lizzie, thank you. You guys are saving other people's lives on Queens Boulevard right now. And because we organized last year and for so many years for Sammy's Law and are able to have the speed limit lowered, we don't even know how many people's lives are being saved today on the streets of our city. And your courage is making that happen. And we just owe an immense debt of gratitude. Now, there are some areas where we're moving forward, like Queens Boulevard and Sammy's Law, but there are some areas we're moving backwards as well. The city allowed the Reckless Driver Accountability Act to expire. So right now we don't have one thing making sure that the most reckless drivers can't just speed and run red lights and drive recklessly again and again. Just this week, a study from the Center for Justice Innovation showed that the driver accountability program that is very largely people who have sped or driven recklessly or run red lights here in videos from those who have lost loved ones. You know what? It's proven it works. People slow down. We must do more to hold reckless drivers accountable. We must. And that's why I'm proud to be standing with you here to say, pass the Grieving Families Act, pass the ISA, bring back the Reckless Driver Accountability Act, honor the loss and the courage of these incredible families. And the last thing I'll just say is this, saving the lives of people in road crashes is not a Democratic or a Republican issue. Everyone needs safe streets for all their families. But I want to observe this. A lot of people, when they feel pain and loss and grief, could get angry and blame other people and start supporting a politics that's full of kind of rage and hatred. And what you guys have done, from the worst pain and loss and grief that anyone can imagine, losing a kid, losing a parent, losing a grandparent, somehow what you guys have done instead is built a movement for saving other people's lives. And I don't know anything more beautiful for the kind of politics that we need in the future than what Families for Safe Streets is doing right here and now. Thank you guys so very much.
Next, I want to call up our Borough President of Queens, Donovan Richards.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And let me start by saying, on behalf of all 2.4 million residents of Queens, I want you to know that on a day like this and every day, that we mourn with each and every one of you. And as our comptroller alluded to, thank you for turning your pain into purpose. Pain into purpose. We have a lot of work to do in this city to make our streets safer. And every day, especially as elected officials who have to show up to these funerals to mourn with the families, sometimes we find ourselves accosted by individuals who look at, when we enact policies like speed cameras, red light cameras, that they are being nickel and dimed. It's all about nickel and diming the city. No, it's about saving lives. It's about making sure that these families get justice and the families thereafter. We were just on Queens Boulevard last week, and I want to talk about, yes, we need enforcement. We need accountability. And we also need a city that invests in roadways like Queens Boulevard. It's why I've invested, and I want you to know, since I've become borough president, $8 million of capital dollars out of my budget into roadways to make them safer across this borough. We have to put our money where our mouth is. It's not just about rhetoric, it's about resources, and we need a city that understands that, yes, cameras have a role to play, but yes, busways, bike lanes also have a role to play. More public pedestrian access points, open streets need to be expanded across our entire borough, across our entire city. And yes, a lot of this sometimes comes down to equity. It comes down to equity. There's no way around it. There are certain communities that have been left behind historically when it comes to those investments. No, every corner of this borough deserves investment, no matter your socioeconomic status, no matter your race, your economic status, who you love. Our streets are for everyone. Our streets means streets for everyone. So I wanted to be here, certainly lend my support. Of course, Elizabeth, thank you. Transportation Alternatives, all the groups, Families for Safe Streets, who do this work. Because it is through your advocacy that, yes, just as we saw Sammy's law passed, people didn't think it was possible. It happened because there were people who stood up. You did not give up. And just as we stand on Cherry Avenue, this movement will only continue to blossom. This movement will only continue to blossom because we never want to see a picture of your loved ones again, or anyone else's loved ones. So yes, if you're out there and you speed, slow down. Slow down. Where do you got to go? Where do you got to go? Where do you got to go where you're doing 50 miles, 35 miles per hour? Slow your behinds down so we're never back here facing this pain. All it takes is one accident. All it takes is you not slowing down, and we'll be out here, unfortunately, with the families, with their loved ones on the post. As we come into the holidays, there will be seats around these families' table that are empty, all because of someone who was driving recklessly. These deaths are preventable. Thank you all for turning your pain into purpose. God bless you all.
And the comptroller mentioned Sammy's Law passing this year, a huge, incredible result because of every single Families for Safe Streets member here today who led this fight, who didn't give up, and also to our state elected officials and our legislators who are here today. So with that, I want to introduce Senator Liu.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And as has been mentioned already, this year we were at long last able to pass Sammy's Law with the support of my colleagues, as well as Assemblymember Neely Rosick, Assemblymember Zoran Mamdani, and many others. And there is no question that we felt it was important, but we never would have gotten over the finish line without the dogged, unrelenting support, advocacy of the families in question. And I just want to, a lot's been said to them already, continue the fight. And they are continuing the fight. Because they're not happy with street renamings. No. They're not happy with Sammy's Law. They're not happy with the state of affairs that continues to exist. And so we have to pass additional measures. Additional measures like the Reckless Driver Accountability Act. This year, the governor also signed another bill of Assemblymember Rosick and mine that curtails reckless driving on private property, such as large parking lots. That's just yet another front in the war for safety, safety of our children, safety of our families. And we will keep going because the families keep going and they never let the loss of their loved one go in vain. And so we are standing in front of Allison Hope Liao Way, which was renamed less than a year ago. And it commemorates this young life that was taken so early from us, from their families, their entire family, mom, dad, 2 brothers, even us, and to so many others, legislators, activists, community members, otherwise. So thank you very much for joining us on this day of remembrance, and let's keep the fight.
We're also honored to be joined by Assemblymember Neely Rosick today.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you to Families for Safe Streets. And in particular, I want to say thank you to the Liao family for putting up the fight when it seemed so incredibly hard. In 2013, it was the first year I got elected. I went to Allie's funeral. It was one of the first things I did, and I committed in that moment to say never again. I'm never going to another kid's funeral as long as I'm an elected official. It was just too heartbreaking, too difficult. And here we are, all these years later, committed and recommitted to doing everything in our power, not just here in Flushing, but across Queens, to make our streets safer for Allison, for all kids across this borough. I wear this today. This is something that Amy gave me. It says street safety for me and my friends. And it's Allison with a little angel and a Hello Kitty. I wear it today here for this special occasion, but also it sits on my desk in Albany every single day as a reminder why we are in Albany to do what we need to do. In 2015, we came to rename this corner. In 2016, Liaos and I stood on Blossom in Main Street, right by the WIC Center, begging for another traffic light. But it shouldn't take an enterprising family, a rank and file member of the state legislature to do the right thing. It is incumbent on all of us as a community, as elected officials, as colleagues, to do right by these families. And we're going to keep doing that. We are going to keep pushing every single year for new legislation to pass the Reckless Driver Accountability Act, to pass other legislation that will actually impact families across Queens. So I want to say thank you to all the families, especially Amy and Shipe and all that they do. You guys should come back. We do Bike to School Day, which is a growing movement in Eastern Queens, again, started by this family right here. Thank you so much.
Next, I want to call up Senator Zoran Mandani.
Thank you so much. You know, we are 2 trains away from the district that I represent, and yet I see so many families that call Astoria and Long Island City home here today. And I see those families because traffic violence is an epidemic that spans from Cherry Avenue all the way to Broadway, to Steinway, to so many places where my constituents call home. I'm thinking of Karina, I'm thinking of Jaden, I'm thinking of Amanda, and so many more. And as my colleagues have mentioned, we stand here today with some progress in the last few years, yet it is hard to call it that, knowing that more than 217 New Yorkers have been killed by traffic violence this year alone. And with more than a month left, that is already the second highest in the last 9 years. So there is clearly so much more work to be done. And one of the things that I struggle to forget is that these are not accidents. These are natural outcomes of the policies that our city continues to pursue. And I think of the most recent vigil I went to for Amanda Cervedio, where she was hit by a car that was attempting to flee a high-speed police chase. An act that in the last few years has skyrocketed from our police department, more than 600% in the first 3 months of last year. Has killed more than 3 New Yorkers this year alone. And I was talking to a loved one of Amanda today about the car that hit her and killed her, and how it had an untold number of violations. And that car should have never have even been on the road. And so these policies that we are here today to talk about, whether they be the Reckless Driver Accountability Act, the Grieving Families Act, Intelligent Speed Assistance Act, these are policies that understand these deaths as being linked to what we're doing right now. Because as Neely said, it cannot be that our Department of Transportation will do the right thing after another child is killed in our neighborhood. The only place that I can see daylighting in my neighborhood is where Dolmo was killed, a young child crossing the street. It's time we finally wake up to this epidemic, and it's time that we treat it as what it is, which is a preventable crisis. Thank you so much to every family that is here, every person that is, as Donovan said, making your pain into purpose to ensure that we do not do any more street renamings, we do not have to pass any more bills named after children, and we instead can focus on all that life has to give us. Thank you.
All right, thank you all, everyone. So we want to have just a moment of silence for everyone we've lost this year since our last World Day of Remembrance in 2023. For Amanda, as the Assembly member said, for Dariel Rivera, and Niall McCrory, whose 13th birthday would be today, who we just lost last week. and so many others whose family members and loved ones are here today. Please, let's observe a moment of silence. And with that, I want to call up Rabbi Erwin Goldenberg to lead us in a closing.
Thank you. My friends, we stand at a street corner which has been desecrated by a dangerous driver who took the life of Allison, the 3-year-old daughter of Amy and HP. As we join with the mourners in their grief and with members of Family of Safe Streets, let's re-sanctify this place again. Let it be a corner of hope to all the families who have lost loved ones to unnecessary crashes. Because our presence here today demonstrates our commitment to making our streets safe for all the residents of our community. May this be so. Amen.
A block and a half over to the Queen's Botanical Garden. Maybe we'll first do a photo.